Hey everybody, I'm Amber.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're
Witches Talking Tarot.
And today we are talking about reincarnation, also known as rebirth and transmigration. I just really want to say that word.
It rhymed.
It did. I love to fucking rhyme. When I worked for Pizza Hut, somebody once compared me to Dr. Seuss, and I was like, guys, I'm going home. My life is made. I just got compared to Dr. Seuss. It was before the internet told us what a bad person he was. Don't judge me. I just like the stories.
Damn it!
I know.
Damn it, Dr. Seuss.
I know. I didn't know, but God, I love Dr. Seuss. Like the rhymes, like one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish makes me fucking happy.
Really?
I watched that video over and
Like
over
the
as a
Grinch.
child. I love the Grinch. Like I was an older teenager, like above the age of 15, when Drew Carey's The Grinch came out, and I loved The Grinch so much. My parents like got me all this Grinch stuff for that movie coming out. Like I got the VHS of the original. They took me to see the Drew Carey Grinch. I got like a Grinch fucking doll. Like, love you, Grinch.
I also really like Horton Hears
Also,
too.
his heart grew 3 sizes that day. I love Horton Hears I do because elephants.
I
love
the little
elephants,
people.
y'all. What?
Oh my god.
Oh, the elephant people, yes.
The
They're so
Lorax,
cute.
though.
Because like Thumbelina was one of my favorites growing up. I love Thumbelina. She lived in a walnut shell. God, I collected miniatures to make this all make a little bit more sense to everybody listening. I collected miniatures for a really long time. My favorite thing was a gumball machine that was like this big, and the gumballs were tiny. They looked like sprinkles.
Did they come out?
Only when it broke.
Only when it broke.
I was like 11 when I got that, and it was glass, like the ball part was glass, so eventually it fell and broke. Yeah, I wish I was more careful when I was a child. I'd have some cool ass shit.
So on the topic of reincarnation, I'm very excited to talk about this. So I know that me and Amber are going to be talking about our own personal beliefs for the most part.
Yes.
As a Hellenic witch, mine's going to be more towards Greek.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's my own twist on it.
Yeah, see, I was gonna say, like, because I have a belief in that afterlife.
Right.
But I also believe in reincarnation.
So, with the topic of reincarnation, do we want to touch on the afterlife? Because that's kind of...
Well, it's part of my belief system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for
as
sure.
well, for sure.
I mean, as it comes up, I think we should. It seems appropriate. I mean, like, okay, because... So, do we want to start with, like, this is where it comes from, or do we want to start with this is what I believe?
Maybe like a quick, hey, this is also, or this is recognized in Hinduism, Buddhism. The other one that starts with an S-K-I, they also wear...
Sikhism or
Is it Sikh?
Sikhism?
Is it-
It's either Sikh or Sikh.
I know
I'm not
that they're
sure.
called Sikh.
Okay, so Sikhism makes sense because that's like I said Sikhism and then I was like Sikhism is right.
They
and
wear
then I was like,
turbans
why do
as
I know
well.
that? And so I don't know.
And then there was another one.
Jainism. But
Is that a Middle Eastern?
it is. It's an Eastern, like from like somewhere from in Asia. It's an Asian-based religion, from what I read. And by read, I don't mean I read about Jainism because I didn't. We're not.
I am
just, like,
curious
going
though, because I've
into
never
all
heard of it before, so I am curious.
Yeah, I've heard of it before, but I don't know about it.
Right. This episode is mostly talking about our own beliefs.
Yeah, I'm like, of the Eastern religions, I once took an online test that said Taoism is like the religion I relate to most, which did have me look into Taoism just a wee bit over a decade ago, so I don't remember much about it. Hinduism and Buddhism, there's a little bit, there's a little bit of both of them that I love. I have Hindu and Buddhist icons in my home. I've got Dalai Lama scroll on my living room wall, like 2 of them, because they're beautiful and accurate and appropriate things, and like I always say, because one of my friends who practiced Buddhism, one of the things they said to me was like kind of one of the main tenets of Buddhism is all things in moderation. And I was like, you know what? I can truck with that belief, you know? Like that trucks for me because like all things in moderation, like enjoy a glass of wine.
Well, see,
but don't have a bottle to yourself.
one of the reasons my husband left Hindu Buddhism is because there's different types of Buddhism. There's like so many.
Just like Christianity,
One of
right?
them-
There's like different sects because we should say that some Buddhism and some Hinduism believe in reincarnation. Some believe in an afterlife, which I did
Oh,
not
that
look
is
into.
true. That is true.
Yeah.
The
So I didn't mean to
nirvana.
interrupt you. It
Yes,
just reminded me.
No,
Yeah.
because there's one set of Buddhism, you say that about the wine, that says that you should not have any intoxicants at all because they cloud the
Fair enough.
the way to
I don't
achieve
truck
that
with that,
nirvana.
but I
don't-
understand.
That's why my
Yeah.
husband was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like the all things in moderation
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
I really
for sure.
do.
Yeah, and like the Nirvana thing is great because it means I get to say the word samsara, because samsara is the cycles that you go through, and as you elevate and ascend is how you can reach nirvana eventually through your samsara. I didn't know how I was going to work that into conversation. Thanks, yo.
Excuse me. You know, well,
It's a fun word.
I'm sure reincarnation is not just in Eastern religions. They're just
Oh, yeah,
more
no, because like
popularized in Eastern religions.
Druids, and it's in Judaism.
Oh, what?
Yeah, the Kabbalah, Judaism After Dark. Sorry, that American Dad episode where like the one guy's like, Debbie, I think you'd be interested in whatchamacallit, and then he was like, it's Judaism After Dark. And it's like the Kabbalah is what they mean in whatever he said. No, I can't remember the word because damn it,
You say
I need to.
this is gonna sound so stupid. You say Kabbalah, and I'm like Kabbalah, Shakala.
Every time I read my Kabbalah now, I'll be like, Shakala. Who would call her? I can't remember the rest of that. I wish I was a little bit taller. Yes, I do. I'm like the shortest. I'm one of like the 3 shortest people in my family, and it burns me.
Oh no.
Yeah, like my sister and I think are the same height, and our
I
grandmother
think
was
I
like
am the
5'3".
shortest.
Uh,
I'm horrible.
yeah, I'm one of the shortest.
You're taller than me. That's
yeah.
slightly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Slightly.
Just slightly.
It's sad.
My male cousin Tony, he's just slightly taller than me, and I feel bad for him because I think he's the shortest dude in
How
the
tall are
family.
you? Do you know?
I'm like 5'5" on a good day. I stretched my neck with Corey's stretcher thing, so I might actually be 5'5". Corey says I am not
I didn't
5'5".
think I did not think 5'1.5", 5'2" was short. Apparently it is.
My grandmother was 5'3", and her daughters were like 5'10" and 5'8". God damn, I am my grandmother, guys. Wow. Grandmother Ellen, props. You lived a hard life.
I don't know where my
Like,
short.
you gotta look up to all your children. I know, because I
can't
have
believe
to too.
my younger siblings are taller than me. That's
Well, like,
what's
I
fucking
just
crazy.
fucking, yeah. I think my sister is possibly just a wee bit taller, I don't know. But my brother's definitely taller than me. And so are both my parents. Like, I did not get the height. I got the short from both of my Grammys. Anywho, so reincarnation, as we were talking about, granted, I gotta say, maybe I am my grandmother Ellen, because damn, realizing kinda redoing some of that. A little bit better.
Have you ever noticed
I think.
that
No
when,
offense, grandmother Ellen. I don't think.
when people claim that they're reincarnated, it's never a
Like a normal person.
It's
It's
always
like famous.
Cleopatra
Yeah.
or
I would love to do.
Elizabeth Bathory.
I would love to do. What is that therapy? Where they
Hypnotherapy. I would love to
the
do it.
past life therapy. I would love to do that, but I. How do you find a trusted person that does that? Because I gotta really trust you to like let you do anything with like trying to fuck with my brain. So even if it's like
I
taking
think
me
that
from
was an
past
SVU
life.
episode.
Probably.
I think
was.
it really was. I mean, come on, we're going up on
right,
like 24
yeah.
seasons.
I don't doubt it. It makes sense. It would be a good episode. It would make sense.
It would be a great episode.
It would be a great episode. If it's not already, but it probably is. You're probably right. But like, I would love to do that if I could find somebody that I trust. But like, I believe because like, I'm over a third Jewish in heritage. But I've always been like drawn to World War II stuff. Granted, both my grandfathers fought in D-Day, and I didn't know that as a child. But like, I still feel like I existed in World War II, and I feel like I existed back in the flapper days, and I feel like I died young in both of those lives. Because to be an adult in flapper days and an adult in World War II days, I had to die pretty young.
I know this sounds silly, but I think I was a grandma in the 80s. I really do. I can just see, I'm closing my eyes, we're going there. We're going there this episode. I can just see, like, this country farm and, like, a golden retriever and a white picket fence, and inside there's what? Ever the fuck that shit is that grandparents knit. What is it?
Like scarves?
No, it's like a doily.
Crochet. Crochet doilies.
Crochet shit. I got on a white sweater. Like,
I mean,
there's
I feel
grandkids. You know
I
what
get
I mean?
you
I don't know why
because-
it's that always that specific scene.
No, I get you because I feel that in a flapper way. Like, straight up speakeasy, I'm wearing the attire, I got the headpiece on, I can dance like a mug, like, I'm having a good old time, not living by the rules of women of my era. You know what I mean? Like, I feel that. I've always had that feeling.
You know,
Does that make sense?
I think that
Because it's like, it's almost more of a feeling than a memory. For me.
Yes. Well, for me, it's
Well, I guess it's
because certain.
it's like
houses-
reliving it because like I can see me dance, like I can feel me dancing, but it's not this face and it's not curly hair.
Oh, mine's not long, gray hair. It's the weirdest thing. But let me say, I think with reincarnation, what you remember, like the scene that I'm describing, or the scene that you're describing, personally, I think you remember those things because that's when you are most happiest in that life. So to me, it makes sense that you would remember that because if you were the most the happiest you would be, you don't want to give up your happy memories.
Yeah.
You know what I
That
mean?
makes sense.
But then again, I also believe, kind of off that topic, not really, when you die and become a ghost, you return back to the face that you had at your most happiest form of life. That's why there's not very many old ghosts. There are some old men and old women, but at least for me anyway, it's always younger people. But that's my own belief system.
I like that. That's not necessarily how I believe, but I like that. It makes sense. I do like that. It does make sense.
Because, like, when you go to heaven, assuming you believe in heaven,
right.
which we'll get to, but in the Christian belief, if you believe in heaven, you are not old anymore. You're not.
You're like in the
young.
prime.
You're in your prime, the happiest part of your life. So I think that's maybe just something that always stuck with me.
I think it also depends on like what path of Christianity, because like that idea of like my own personal heaven that's like the happiest, like that is not something I learned as a child.
Really?
That's something I learned later in life, the thought process of. So I don't know if that has to do with being raised Presbyterian or Methodist or not. I really don't know. But as far as reincarnation and the afterlife are concerned, although I do want to throw in, because I made note and I don't want them to be left out, Indigenous Americans and Indigenous Australians, some of them have reincarnation beliefs.
I
instead
thought
of
Native Americans. I did.
Yeah,
I thought so.
Yeah,
And that's
some.
not just strict
And it's
to
like
North
it's some,
America.
not all, right? So it's just like the Buddhists and the Hindu paths, like it's some, not all.
Right.
Yeah. So like, just wanted to throw that out there for like.
I truly
Yeah.
thought that too, you know, and like
And it makes
not
sense.
just North American, but also South American, just the Americas.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I wrote down Indigenous Americas. I don't, or Americans rather. I don't remember if I read South or North, but it makes sense either way. Because
Right.
like it makes sense that, you know,
Sorry.
pretty much like everywhere throughout the globe you go, you're gonna find a little bit of someone who has a belief in reincarnation. reincarnation, and that just kind of makes sense, especially with like things being cyclical, especially like in nature, things are cyclical, and I wonder if maybe that's where a belief in reincarnation came from.
You know who else believes in reincarnation? Ooh, I'm scared to say it. I'm almost too messed up to say it. Starts with an S. Ends with ology.
Oh,
They do.
They do. I
They
forgot
do.
about that.
It's a very predominant part of their
I forgot about
belief
that. Yeah.
system.
I don't think about them pretty much
I
ever.
forget they exist, and then I remember them, and I'm
Like-
like, how are you? Like,
When we still had like Dish Network or whatever satellite company we used, I can't remember if it was DirecTV or Dish Network, but like they have a channel all their own with like their own little like propaganda documentaries. It's funny as hell.
Dude.
Like late at night when I'm at my dad's, because he does still have satellite, I'll put it on there sometimes just for fun. Because like they
I
have
like to
one,
learn and figure
it's,
out
like,
what they believe.
Anti-psychology. It's funny.
like, what the fuck is this? It's just, yeah, but
it's
they're
fucking
almost
propaganda, man. Don't watch it in an open frame of mind.
Okay,
Don't let
I
them
will
brainwash
not.
you.
Oh, yeah, they do though.
I know, that's
They-
what I'm
they
saying.
do,
Like,
that's how it works.
Corey was like, "Why are you watching this shit?"
You're like, this
you're
makes
too
sense.
sensitive.
Yeah.
I was like, "No, they're not gonna turn me against reason." I
It's
promise.
hard. It's
Yeah.
hard though because I too
Yeah.
like
No, they like
Yeah.
it's hardcore propaganda, and it's meant to brainwash you. And they're not bad at their jobs. Let's just say that.
Well, you know, to me they're right up there with the one people in like Nevada that scared the ever living fuck out of me.
Oh. Yeah.
Mhm.
I am glad I'm not a prepubescent girl in Utah.
Oh, is it Utah?
I don't fucking know. We're gonna call it Utah because Salt Lake
Nevada,
City,
Arizona, Texas.
Oh, yeah, Nevada too. Yeah, it's all the same over there. I just think Salt Lake City
New Mexico.
and that stuff. I just think Salt Lake City and that stuff.
I don't
like,
think
that's
they
why I
believe
said
in
Utah.
reincarnation. I'm gonna say because I watched the documentary and they think that when I say the Messiah, I don't mean Jesus. I mean their Messiah, which is not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same.
They do believe that. I think he is
Reincarnated. I think you're right. I have seen that. Yeah. Fucking.
But it's
I
not
don't think
Jesus.
about them either.
It's not. I don't think about them either. Damn. I watched a whole ass fucking there was a whole motherfucking like TV movie Lifetime Movie Network day where it was just about movies about that sort of thing and women escaping, and I'm just like, is this
Dude.
real life?
My best friend used to live over there in Utah in one of those communities. Her parents were members for a while, and one of her teachers was a young progressive woman, and when nobody else was around, she would tell the girls, like, okay, so here's the deal. You don't want to stay here. You need to get out as soon. Yes.
I mean, she literally
She
risked her
literally,
life.
she did. She fucking did. And like, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah,
Well,
I'm
the
not
one-
even going to say today who my best friend's name is, just in case that woman could be connected. If anybody hears this.
Ooh, I got
Because,
chills.
yeah, she like, that was awesome of her. She didn't have to do that.
There was
But
one
her
whole
belief.
episode on the documentary that I watched where the guy that took over was making excuses and reasons as to why the young men had to be executed.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He was
Absolutely.
sending them all
Always.
gone until all the
Always.
young
So
men were
there's,
gone, and
yeah,
it was
no
just old
competition.
men
Yep.
with like 15 different
Wives.
and
Yep.
getting
And
more and
yeah.
more and more, and then it became the thing where they were marrying their own daughters. Like, I mean, sorry to get on that topic.
I was gonna say we could talk about cults all day long.
I know,
because,
we
like,
need to
you
do
bring
that,
this
right?
up, and I'm like, oh, let's talk about David Koresh, but no, let's
I know
not,
we're not on that.
because please don't reincarnate that bastard. We don't need another. Wait. Anyway, I am not gonna go there because we have a DC listener. So anyway, reincarnation. So the Druids held belief in reincarnation, as well as, I would imagine there's other European practices that probably held beliefs in reincarnation. Because, I mean, if the Jews had beliefs in reincarnation, they were all over Europe. You know what I
Does
mean?
Egyptian?
Egyptians did have.
I thought so.
They have, their belief is very cyclical, but actually, I know that some things, something about like when they're mummified, the idea is they're going to be like taken physically, yeah. So, but I do believe because their belief is also cyclical, like the entire world goes through a cyclical cycle, which actually I totally believe. And so in that manner, everything is reincarnated because it all gets like poofed out of existence and then made anew again. And that's everything, because energy can be neither created nor destroyed, which is why I believe in reincarnation personally.
Well, that's why I believe in the afterlife for sure as well.
Well, and the afterlife factors into my belief in reincarnation. So, okay, let me ask you, because I think this is important, right? And listeners, think about it yourselves, especially if you are a fan of reincarnation, whatever. Like, I pose this question of you as well. How did you learn about reincarnation? Do you want me to answer first?
No, because I'm going to be real with you. I think I learned about it so long ago that I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I was in probably kindergarten or the first grade.
Oh yeah, I don't remember when.
Like, I don't even remember how, but I remember always believing it. From the first time I heard it, I always believed it.
Absolutely, I agree with that. So, as an 80s baby, 90s kid, I grew up on Unsolved Mysteries, and I guarantee you that is where I was introduced to reincarnation.
Oh, my mother believed in reincarnation.
If it wasn't Unsolved Mysteries, then it would have been Reader's Digest, because they covered stuff like that in their articles as well. So like they would cover stories about this kid says he's a World War II pilot who's been reincarnated and shit. So like pop culture introduced me to reincarnation, like 100%. I don't think my parents hold a belief in reincarnation because they were Christians, so like heaven is what I was taught for sure.
I know my mom definitely believes in reincarnation. Actually, my brother was weirdly obsessed with the Titanic when he was younger. Weirdly obsessed. I mean, he wanted to watch the movie. He wanted to go to the museum. And when I say younger, I mean like 5 or 6.
Yep, I get that.
He wanted to read about it. It was just, and everybody was like, it's crazy how this is changed. The Titanic is such a good age.
Yeah.
You know. My sister used to, maybe that's where I learned it. She used to be like, when I was in college, I actually did this and this, and I became this type of person.
You've told me about that for years.
It used to piss me off so much, you guys. I'd be like, bitch, you weren't in college. I'm older than you, and I'm not even in school yet. I know you weren't in college. And she'd be like, no, yes, I was. I was in college. I studied to be a teacher. This is what I did. And it was like such a great time. And I enjoyed being a teacher. And she would be like, I was married to this one guy and he died. And I'd be like, you are such a liar. Again, never occurred to me, holy shit, she's telling me her whole life's fucking story.
Right, yeah, I know.
Yeah, she absolutely used to do that. She remembers it too.
And I mean, it makes sense because little kids, like, up until a certain age will do that, and then they'll, like, start losing those memories. Mm-hmm. Not every little kid, obviously. But, like, I've always had, like, a really weird connection to my mother's mother. Like, when I was little, I was super, like, obsessed with her. She was dead before I was born. And, like, I don't know, like, I am such a mama's girl, and her mom was, like, so... I won't say obsessed with her, like my mother's mother wasn't obsessed with my mother, but at the same time, like, she didn't tell her when she got into college I was stayed because she didn't want her to leave her. You know what I mean? So it's like, would she have tried to get back to her daughter by, you know, coming in as one of her kids? I wonder, like, because sometimes throughout life, like, I used to say that I was 3/4 Russian and 1/4 Irish. No, my grandmother was 3/4 Russian and 1/4 Irish. Not me. No, my grandmother was half and half. My mom was 3/4 and 1/4. But, like, I don't know, I had weird connections to my grandmother Ellen, and I've always wondered, like, was it somebody that was really close to her, or, like, am I possibly my grandmother Ellen because I'm like low-key obsessed with somebody that was dead long before I was ever born? Or is that normal when you don't have a nice grandma and you want to pretend you do? I don't know.
I
have no idea. I don't know. It's just like my thoughts on reincarnation throughout my life. I've been like wondering. But I do want to find a past life, whatever, because I'm curious. Like, I would love to have one of those people that does that I trust. Do that would be fun. Interesting. Fun.
So how do you believe reincarnation comes into play?
So, my belief in reincarnation and the afterlife in general is you pass on. You spend time in the afterlife. I think of it very much like the Elysian Fields. I think of it not so much like a heaven up in the clouds, but like a plane to itself. Like, I think about there being flowers and meadows and maybe forests and all sorts of different places that your soul can go to grow.
You know, mine, I'm sorry, but when I think of the fields, because I do believe in the, how do you pronounce it?
Elysian Fields.
Elysian. I said Elysian at one point.
I mean,
Elysian.
it might be. That's how.
No. I think it's just pronounced differently, but Elysian Fields. When I close my eyes, I see, and maybe it has to do with my own ancestry, a field with maybe weeds.
I won't lie, that is totally what I see when I picture it, and I'm like, there's gotta be like flowers outside of the weeds.
Well, in the surrounding the weed is a forest. Like, and to me, it's very Native American vibes, but that's my ancestry. You know, so if I close my eyes and I see myself walking through it, I don't know if you guys know this, my hair goes now past my butt, and I just see my hair, the natural color that it is, which is this. I know I just said I'm Native American. I'm not even into it, but it's the same color of the wheat, so it all kind of blends in. But I'm naked.
Yeah.
You don't need clothes.
You don't need clothes. Yeah, no, totally.
And there's no fucking bugs.
Yeah.
There's no bugs jumping on me in this wheat field.
Yeah, and if there are, like, it's just energy on energy. You can feel it, right?
Right.
But like, I totally picture like there's got to be waters and there's got to be
there's
like
a stream
oceans
somewhere.
and like there's everywhere. Not like the earth we're standing on necessarily, but like I believe it is a place that you go to do soul work. Like while we're here to do work to better the world that we're in, to make the people of this world better, to make the world itself better. And then when we pass on to that next stage, I believe that we are there to do soul work. That we maybe picked up bad things when we were in our physical bodies. Maybe we did things that we need to atone for. Not to sound too Christian, but, you know, nobody's perfect.
No.
Right? I truly believe there's like this level of soul work that happens in the afterlife. And I believe it's a choice for the most part to come back. I really think that there's choice involved. I feel like you can choose to stay there and work on your spirit for as long as you want. You can be there for millennia. And then you can incarnate again. Or you can be there for 20 years and incarnate again. Maybe you can be there for 9 months and choose to come back. Because you're so connected to here that you want right back. You know what I mean? Like, you haven't, your soul's not at the point yet that it wants to stay there and work on the soul level. It wants to be back here because it's so connected to this world. Does that make sense? Part of it is influenced by a movie my mom used to watch where one of the main characters was named Elmo, and this girl, I can't remember how many times, but they'd be alive together, they'd find each other, they'd fall in love, and then they'd get separated, die, and in the next lifetime the same thing would happen. And then at the end of the movie, very much like at the nice, happy ending of Where Dreams May Come. And both of these movies are well over 20 years old, so spoiler alert, but you've had time to watch them. At the end, it's like they say their souls are together in the afterlife space, and they're like, "You want to go again? Like, let's go back and find each other again." I've had so much fun.
That's sweet.
It is.
That's really sweet.
So, like, I'm sure that factors into my belief of it is a choice, right? But I think, like, you could choose to stay gone, and you can choose to come back. And I do believe, like, with the Nirvana and with the Judaism belief of Gilgul, that as you're here on this plane, you have the opportunity to do good things to ascend to a higher level and come back higher every time until you get to that Nirvana state. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like that's totally my belief, and part of it has to do with the last Vampire series. Christopher Pike with, like, that was my introduction to Krishna and the blue light, which totally factors into a lot of my death beliefs. But I'm pretty sure in those books there's like this huge thing about reincarnation and like working on yourself and shit like that. I don't know. So what's your reincarnation belief?
So my reincarnation's beliefs are, and I don't think there's many things to back this up. I think maybe it's my own personal belief, which is crazy, right? I think sometimes I wonder, is it weird to create your own belief / religion? You know what I mean?
I think that's what paganism's all about, personally. I mean, that's everything that resonates with me, I incorporate, you know what I mean?
Right. So for
it seems
me,
natural.
for the afterlife, for me, is the Hellenic version of the underworld. It is, you cross the river Styx, and you pay the ferry, or whatever. All that jazz. There's Tartarus, there's the fields, I forgot what it is, it's in the middle. It's like, not the best people go there, but not the worst people go there. It's kind of boring.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not horrible. It's just like,
It's like,
life now.
Is that where, like, Tantalus is, where he can never get to the apple? It's always just out of reach of his mouth. He's
To
always
me,
hungry.
I feel like that'd be like a torment.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
You know, but I don't see it as like a torment type thing. I see it as
so
more of a
everybody-
like,
they're just
everybody's
like dead.
waiting in line.
Oh,
You know what I
they're
mean?
just dead. Yeah. Okay.
Like, or it's like life
It's
is
like-
here. It's not
it's
horrible.
like that, what's her face's hell, where she's the cashier.
Exactly.
It's for everybody else, because the rest of them aren't the cashier.
Hell, but not that bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Fair enough.
could be worse.
Fair enough.
Could be worse. Whereas I know there's some people in the underworld. There's one guy that was so thirsty, and every time he came down, he would drink the water with water. To me, that's like
I'm pretty
right
sure that's
under.
also Tantalus. I'm not positive, but I think he can never reach the apple and he can never get the water. He's always thirsty and hungry.
Right. To me, that's more like a pretty like intense hell, because that fucking sucks.
You know what's really weird though? I realize that's where the word tantalize comes from. And we use that sexually all the time, but it's torture. Tantalus is being tortured. But tantalize, like when you tantalize a man with fruit, but because he's being tantalized.
I think it's like
it's terrible. Anyways.
But anyway, so I do think that you also can choose if you want to be reincarnated or not. But like, and check out Witches Talking Tarot in the future for an episode on these two. I'm sure you know what I'm about to say. Like, Eurydice and, or I'm sorry, Eurydice and Orpheus. You have to ask for it. You have to ask. You have to convince the god and goddess Persephone and Hades, or just Hades. And you want to do it when Persephone's around, because Hades is probably in a shitty mood when he's by himself and has to deal with everybody. Like, I'm just saying.
He's got a deal with it.
Like, he's by himself and he's like, ugh, you know, but when Persephone's there, she's kind of like,
chills.
yeah, you know what I mean? And they have to agree whether or not they think that you should be reincarnated. If you present your case well enough, and before you're reincarnated, you have to drink from the river of forgetfulness. Reincarnated again. And I'm sure in my head, I imagine a long line of people petitioning the god and goddess, because there's kind of a reason there's a god and goddess. know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
they gotta keep controllership. Otherwise it could be chaos.
exactly. And as I say that out loud, not to sound ridiculous, but I do see Hades sitting by himself, and he's just like, and then I do see him with Persephone there, and it's a lot less. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I could see that. But I mean, from the standpoint of what a little wonderful couple we find them to be, it makes sense.
Even if
that he'd be happier when she's around.
right,
Just in
right. And even if, let's say the other version of the story is true, which I do not believe personally, which is that Persephone was kidnapped, blah, 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 I still think it'd probably be better to have Persephone there, because she
still makes him happy, whether
yes,
she's there
well,
by choice or not. But
and
also,
she's kind herself, you know what I mean? Like,
but it also makes sense from the time of year that Persephone's down there, and then the fact that, we try to have our kids born, as we've talked before, like at least in ancient times, the fertility festivals line up with birthing at a certain time of year, right? So in one form of belief or another, you could think that they are petitioning at just the right time of year to catch getting in on a baby that's being created. You know what I mean?
Right.
With her being down there.
And I don't know. I don't think it's I don't know if it's me connecting with something or it's my imagination going wild, but I can truly see them sitting on their thrones, and there's a person there, and maybe they're like, please, I have to go back. I have to go back. This is why I have to go back. Please, I have to go back. And they're like, that's not why you should go back. So you should probably take some time to realize why you should go back in the first place, because just because you died early and you want to go back to see your boyfriend is not a good enough reason. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and would they be going back to see their boyfriend? Because if they're getting reincarnated, won't they be getting born? And so, like,
see,
they're going to be like 20 years.
Exactly. And I think that's where the desperation of souls come in. Yeah. They're not thinking about that part. They just like, I gotta go back. I can't be here. I don't need to be here right now. And that's where it's like, okay, you need to take some time to really think this through, because it's not a decision. Whereas, you see the memes and you see the things where people are just like, I didn't want to go back, or like, I didn't want to go back, or like,
the memes of like, who tricked me into coming back right now, or like when my favorite one of those memes I think that you're referencing is like, it's a bunch of people on a plane and like this lady's face, and it's like when Spirit asks who wants to be reincarnated and go help heal the world right now, and a motherfucker says your name, you know what I mean?
Right. I think you have to ask for it. I don't think you're...
Oh yeah, I don't think you could get nominated, definitely. But I also believe in soul contracts and stuff like that. So like, I definitely believe in... I don't believe that you have to have a soul contract, but I believe in like agreeing that, I'm going to go back so that I can achieve these things in this lifetime. So I can do these things to help humanity. So I can do these things to help the world. So I can do these things to help the animals of the world, or whatever it is that your soul feels passionate about, right? You know what I mean? Like, I believe in that stuff. So like, there was a point there. I believe that like, it's not like a willy-nilly thing, but there's definitely a choice involved. And I believe that if everybody could come back en masse, they probably would. But I believe that like, some souls probably kind of like get lost in the vastness of the underworld, you know what I mean? Does that make, like, in the, not lost, but I guess maybe I am thinking of something along the lines of purgatory, where you're like walking around in the clouds.
I saw this medium on Facebook. I did not agree with anything that she said, which was when somebody was like, how do people feel when they die? Do they want to come back? And one of the things she said was, no. When people die, they never want to come back. Why would they want to come back here? And I just do not agree with that at all.
No, like I said,
because she's like, when you die, you get the ultimate supreme knowledge. knowledge because you go back into that spiritual, you know.
You get to swim in the ethers, but it's just like that meme I shared about tripping on acid, and it's like the night that, you know, me on LSD, and there's a chick in front of the dude, and it says the secrets of the universe, and then the bottom picture is just the dude standing there, and it says me the next morning. Like, you know, you can delve deeply into the secrets of the universe and still swim out of those waters. I don't think that a soul would just be like, oh, I don't want to go back. I get to be in these waters of knowledge forever. Because, like, what's the point of all that knowledge when you can't, like, share it with anybody? You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm with you on disagreeing with her standpoint. I don't trump with that at all. It doesn't resonate. Although, swimming in the waters of knowledge does sound nice. If that's what happens when you die.
I don't know how I feel about it. I don't want to know. Because then it wouldn't be fun. So maybe I would be
But,
one
like,
of those
you
souls
come back.
that choose to come back.
But you come back and you forget, right? So you wouldn't
Right, that's why I'm
forever.
saying
Yeah.
I think maybe I would be one of those souls that choose to come back.
I like dipping my toes in and coming back to see if I remember.
Oh, so that brings me to my next question. What do you think witches are? Do you think witches are reincarnated souls? That's been going around, that theory. Do you think all witches are reincarnated? Again, that theory has been going around. Not necessarily if the witches our grandmothers couldn't burn, LOL, but just older souls.
So, because I believe that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, part of my belief system is that everyone who is currently alive that has a soul would be a reincarnated soul. So everybody that's alive that has a soul is reincarnated. Now I say it that way because I had this like shower thought one day kind of thing that was like boing, 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 like it resonated and I can't get rid of the thought and I think about it quite often. And so part of my thought process on life in general and people, and the reason that I say people that do have a soul is, you know, you hear about awful people that do things to other human beings or other living creatures, and you don't understand how another human being can do that, right? And you're just like, I don't get how you could do that to anything else, right? And I was having this, like, I was thinking about it, there was a shower thought, like, my head was clear. I don't know if I was actually in the shower, I just call them shower thoughts. But the thought was, because of the fact that, please don't hate me guys, because of the fact that Western medicine has enabled so many things to live that wouldn't necessarily otherwise be alive, are there living beings out there that don't have a soul? And that's why they're able to do the things that they're able to do to others, because there was not a soul available to go into that vessel, so it is an empty vessel. And that's why it is what we would think of as soulless when we think of people like Jeffrey Dahmer, who ate his lovers and poured battery acid into somebody's brain cavity to see what would happen. Like,
See, I
that's an empty fucking cavity to
I
me.
think
That's an empty
souls
vessel.
and energy, which souls are energy, is infinite. So I don't think it's physically or spiritually possible to run out of souls.
Well, no, what I mean is a vessel that wasn't supposed to have a soul was born anyway for whatever reason. Because there's people out there that I just don't understand how they have a soul. Like, I legitimately don't. Like, mental issues aside, the things that they do, Jeffrey Dahmer, a perfect example, how could that creature have a soul? I believe there are empty vessels out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe there are empty vessels out there. And so if you're not an empty vessel, I believe you are a reincarnated soul, because it came from somewhere. That soul came from somewhere. It wasn't created the moment that the sperm hit the egg, because energy can neither be created nor destroyed, so that soul existed. And it had a vessel to move into once that vessel was ready for it. And whether it's Western medicine or not, that's just where my brain went with, like, how could empty vessels, like, be born? But, like, maybe it's just my way of coping with the fact that some people are so fucking awful. They can do that to another person and they do have a soul. Maybe it's just a comfort to me to think there are creations of being that are human, quote unquote, but do not have a soul, because it makes me feel better to think they're able to do that because they don't have a soul. Maybe it's just me making myself feel better.
No, I agree. I don't think they have a soul. I don't know why they don't have a soul. I think there's a dozen and a half different reasons as to why they couldn't have a soul.
Right.
But I do agree they probably do not have a soul.
So, and that's why I say, like,
Or
I believe
let's just be
everybody is
honest.
alive.
Or maybe they do have a soul and they're just evil. They're just evil. Because I do believe in evil souls.
I believe in evil. I don't know that I believe in evil souls. Like, that's something I gotta do some soul searching.
See, to me, it's the difference between a demon. Like, somebody has a demonic soul. That would be like an evil soul.
So,
because there's always
would
light
it be a
and dark.
demon in them, or would it just be that their soul is demonic?
So, let me try and phrase this correctly.
I'm just, I'm like
No,
not
no,
finding
no,
fault. I just
no.
want to understand.
'Cause I'm
curious.
a little intoxicated, so I'm trying to explain it correctly.
Yeah.
So, we have light and we have dark.
Yeah.
We have good and we have bad. We
Yeah.
have to have good and we have to have bad.
Yeah.
We have good souls, we have light workers, whatever you want to call them, up into the sky for the infinite. Wouldn't it make sense with that yin and yang theory that while there is higher, beings, wouldn't there be lower beings as well with more negative energy?
I guess,
to
but
me,
my
it makes
viewpoint is
sense.
we are all creatures of light and dark, So
It just
the
depends on who
balance
you choose.
exists within all of us, We could, a light worker can choose to be bad with their gifts. They're not really a light worker anymore. Does that mean their soul is evil? Again, that's something I've got to do some soul searching on to see where I believe, because when I think of evil and soul, I guess my thought process is more toward the soul has been mal-affected by an exterior evil source. Does that make sense? Like that's my
I hear you,
like
but
that's
then,
my belief system, I guess, at this point. Like, because I haven't thought on it any deeper than, like, can a soul itself be evil? Because
I guess it would be like angels and like demons. You've got to
Right.
have that.
right,
So
and I do believe in that dichotomy for sure. But like, yeah, because it's like, because my belief in souls and reincarnation and shit, I definitely do believe in that, like, ascension process, right? So I also believe, like, I believe a frog has a soul, right? And that soul maybe was a human at one point, and it's a frog now because it was a shitty fucking human. You know what I mean? Like, I believe in that kind of reincarnation. Not necessarily that it's a punishment, but in that same thing of you go into the next life form based on how you were in your last life.
I can't believe that one. I know it's a very common. I know it's very, very
just
common.
Like, it's part of my belief.
No, absolutely. I know it's very common. I can't believe that one because as a child I went through some shit. And I don't like to believe that maybe I went through that shit because I was a shitty person.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, the frog is because you're a shitty person in the past. Like, I don't think that if you're a shitty person, you're going to reincarnate as a person. I think you're going to reincarnate as a lower life form than a person. So do I believe that a person can have such an evil soul? Not really, because I think that would be like pond scum. I think that would reincarnate as pond scum and have to work its way back up to person to not be shitty. So I don't say that people get punished in their life because of that. my belief is that you reincarnate as a lower life form. So if you were shitty in a past life, you wouldn't be human. You'd be a caterpillar, or you'd be
that's very similar to
a
Hinduism.
frog. I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Again, Krishna, last vampire, Hinduism. That was my introduction. So I'm sure that that's probably feeding in, but that is my belief. It's also part of the Jewish belief is that you can like be higher and lower, but it's not based on punishment. It's based on like what your soul chooses.
Oh, that's
To my understanding, but
no,
Judaism is such a close practice. It's hard to find. I know, like Corey and I were discussing it as I was looking into reincarnation for this episode, and we think that our area probably too close-minded, but if I reach out to somebody in the Northwest, I might find a rabbi that'll help me understand Judaism better, so I can better understand my ancestral struggles and stuff like that. But like, I bought myself a Kabbalah, right? I told you that? No, I bought an interpretation of the Kabbalah.
Oh, damn.
Corey realized I bought an interpretation of the Kabbalah, and I think he was trying to keep me from being embarrassed because I kept saying I wrote the Kabbalah. So he bought me the Kabbalah. Guess what? It's an interpretation of the Kabbalah. I don't think you can buy the Kabbalah in English. So I have to find somebody who's willing to help me, but it's a close practice. I don't know that I can find anybody to help me understand it without being willing to convert, but I'm not willing to convert because my whole religion is just incorporating other things. But I resonate with so much that I've learned about mystic Judaism.
You haven't seen Orange is the New Black. I love it when Black Cindy she converts to Judaism and she's like, my name's Tova. Like,
I love that.
Your name's not fucking Tova. Yes, it is. I do love it. So my thing is like, not with what you're saying, but I do feel like that thought process, again, not with yours, but in reincarnating into either in a lower form of a person. So it's a person again, not yours. Is a dangerous topic because that's kind of how the caste system became a thing.
I don't mean that in a shitty way.
No, because you're talking about
this is
animism.
species. Yeah.
Yes, I'm talking about like there are some people that believe that you were shitty in the past. You were like
on a
the abuser in the past life, so you're reincarnated as the victim. I can't get behind that. I feel like that's another way for people to make victims feel like shit and blame themselves for their abuse.
And that is not.
Oh no, I don't think so. But I do.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to go along with what I'm saying. But like, just so everybody understands, like I do hold a belief in animism. You know, like I believe that everything has like spirit in it. So like that's where my belief that you can come back as a lower life form if you don't deserve to be a human, because humans have a lot of fucking capabilities with the fucking evolution we've gone through. So you have to deserve to be able to make the fucking things happen that you can make happen as a human, which you can't make necessarily happen in the world as another creature. Like I think you do have to like be decent enough to earn that right. Does that make sense? Which is why I'm like, I don't know if I can believe in an evil soul because it doesn't. I have to meditate on that one and see where I fall because it doesn't fall in with what I already think. But I've never really thought about it because that my belief doesn't include that. You know what I mean? So I've never really thought about it, so I don't know what I believe. But it's an interesting belief. But I also do not 100% don't believe that if you're going through bad stuff now, it's because of the karma of your past lives. However, part of the Bible is mistranslated, so actually original Christians did believe in reincarnation because of mistranslation in the Bible. You know when God says, I am a vengeful God, I will revisit, the sins of the father on the son after 4 generations or whatever. It's supposed to be the word incarnation. And it's, if you're shitty now, 5 lifetimes from now, your life is gonna fucking suck because I'm a vengeful God.
Sounds like North Korea. In a way.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the 3 generations.
Yeah, I do. I'm just saying it's shitty, and you're not wrong. and it's shitty.
Should I
every
not
which
have
way.
said that?
I don't know. Like, I don't know enough about it. I just know bad things about over in that area.
I'm like, oh my
Because,
god,
like,
DC viewer, I'm
like,
sorry.
Who cares? They're not gonna care. Like, honestly, like, because Tibet, like, the stuff that's happening there with, like, because, you know, they always think their Dalai Lama's reincarnated, but they've been exiled from Tibet, the religious people, and, like, if we talk about it, the country that's 5 letters and starts with the letter C, who owns most of our country, they'd be upset because they own Tibet. So, like, I mean, is it dangerous to talk about? I don't fucking know. But China would hate that, you know, to know that I was watching a documentary earlier that was talking about the fact that they own Tibet and they're kind of killing out this practice of their belief in reincarnation and the Dalai Lama and all this stuff because of kicking them out of their country when they took over in the 1950s.
No, unfortunately, I
It's
think
sad.
that's not uncommon.
It's not.
It happens to most cultures.
A lot of cultures it does. It's sad. But, like, that's why, like, shows like this are so important where we keep people informed. We may also sound sometimes dumb while we're keeping you informed.
Or crazy.
But, yeah, we might sound crazy. But it's important to know about these things.
Yeah.
It's important to keep them out there in the mainstream. And if you don't like what I have to say about it, free speech, America. That's all I can say.
I'm very curious on our viewers' beliefs in reincarnation, so please comment if you're watching us on YouTube. Let us
Sure.
know. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please.
Yeah, for sure. Was there... God, there's so much else to talk about.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought we were pulling it up to a
No,
close because
like,
we're at
I'm
an
just
hour.
like, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No,
I
you're
thought that's
fine.
where
I'm
you were
like,
going.
should we
Do a part 2?
No. Maybe. Do
We
you guys
could
want us
do-
to do a part
right?
2?
I'm
'Cause
so
there's more
sorry. I
stuff.
did not
No,
mean to call
I
this.
can't see the
Okay.
time.
Yeah, no, we're
I
like
don't
right
have-
at an hour,
I
so
don't
I
have good
assumed
enough
that's what
eyesight
you
to
were
see
doing.
that.
I am so sorry.
No, don't be sorry because we're at an hour and we still have to record the next
I
episode.
know.
So, thanks for coming to sit with us this fall, guys. Wait, Melissa, thanks for being our patron. If you want a shout out as well, you can visit patreon.com/witchestalkingtarot, and by becoming our patron, you will help us get better sound editing equipment, so you get to enjoy this show even more. I like that. That was a
I
good
like
way
that.
to put that.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye. Oh shit.